When I joined the Army, I just assumed that I was going to have to prove myself and exceed the standards to be accepted, and I strove to do just that. But what I realized during my journey is that all the good leaders I served with held themselves to a higher standard, and they consistently applied leadership principles meant to improve, not degrade or debase. In the Army, we call it leading from the front. In the book, I spend some time talking about the difference between leaders and soldiers who just met the standards and those who always tried to exceed the standards. And it's kind of like the difference between being an A student and a C student. Except in the Army, lives depend on our performance and our leadership. The leader who's satisfied with just meeting the standard, never striving to a higher standard, will probably never lead a high-performing organization. Now, when I joined the Army back in 1975, I joined the Women's Army Corps. It was kind of like a separate branch for women who desired to serve. And to be honest, I never dreamed about joining the Army. I always knew from the time I was at elementary school that I was going to be a coach and a physical education teacher. As a kid, I was a tomboy. I don't even know if they use that word anymore. But I loved sports, and I went to one of the top physical education colleges in the country, Cortland, in upstate New York. Now, during my junior year in college, the Army offered high-potential women $500 a month during their senior year in return for a 2-year commitment and a commission as a second lieutenant. Well, $500 was a lot of money back then. And even with 4 generations of West Pointers in my family, the thought of joining the Army had never crossed my mind. But it was an offer I couldn't refuse. So I joined and began my 2-year journey in the Army, a 2-year journey that turned into 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and yes, 38 years. So when people ask me if I always knew I was going to be a general, I tell them, not in my wildest dreams. When it happened, there was no one more surprised than I was. Except, of course, my husband. And now you know why they say, behind every successful woman, there's an astonished man.